Jeremy.
You're listening to Town Stoics. So, this week we're going to get kind of back into the stuff we started with the first few podcasts and just talking about topics of interest and discussion points in society and culture and today. And one of the big ones that I've kind of seen on the news lately, and it's probably the whole social media feeds you what you look for deal, but it's like the concept of manhood in today's culture and society, and like toxic masculinity and what is it to be a man and that kind of stuff. And so we're going to dig into that a little bit, and hopefully there's a bit of truth to something we say at some point.
Maybe. A lot of opinion in there, though.
Yeah, oh no, definitely lots of opinion. So that's pretty much all this podcast is. So if you're watching this after listening to the sports update that we published for this week, I am a technological Neanderthal, as we've mentioned before on the deal, and
this was a good one, though.
I got a Bluetooth clicker deal that's supposed to turn on the video for the YouTube channel recorder, and
we got some really good stills.
I clicked it and it didn't start the video, and then when we were trying to fuck with it, I forgot to put it back on video and took a whole bunch of pictures of us looking at it like we're idiots. So those were enjoyable.
It's like deer in a trail camera. It's beautiful.
Yep. So yes, it's definitely going to be some trail camera looking, like those images you see of like where the deer or the hog is like looking right at it. Like,
yeah,
what the shit
it's just like literally inches away from.
I keep hearing it whiz.
The lens. And you're like, you remember back in the day, the old trail cameras had those. They were flashes. Actual.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like it would light you up flash. You know,
yes.
Like the old school tall ass camera flash.
Yeah.
All right, we set one up. I don't even remember when or where. I think it was when I was hunting in a place in Roberta on my granddad's old property. But anyway, I'd set this thing up. It just got it. It was $100. I was like, man, this is top of the line right here. It's got that fucking flash in it. Shit, this was before and it was the first one with SIM card. Before it had 35mm film in it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got a picture of I think it was a doe. I couldn't tell because all I could see was just eyes. And of course and it was like 2 a.m. So you know that flash went off. I guarantee you that deer is still seeing that green block if it's still alive. Probably done like 7 flips on the way out of there. But
my favorite trail cam pictures are the ones you always see on Facebook that there's like a whole bunch of different animals underneath the feeder.
Yeah. And
there's always a hog with a raccoon standing on its back,
usually
spinning the corn out like they're a team.
Usually. Yeah.
And that shit just always cracks me up.
Yeah, see, that was one thing you never have a shortage of is raccoon photos.
Yeah,
like,
no.
They're raccoons and crows. If you have corn, you have raccoons and crows. And usually the coons will give you a pretty good show on camera.
Yeah. And so
kind of makes you want to put your stuff on video and watch some good fights, because you know some hellacious fights break out down there. But anyway, back on topic.
So we wanted to make sure everybody understood why there wasn't a video for the sports.
There will be some
and
stills.
A little bit of self-deprecating humor.
There will be some stills. They'll be really nice.
So you hear a lot today, especially from I'd say the conservative side of the aisle, of the attack on the American man and like what it is to be a man. And do you think that's an actual thing, or is that a conservative deal, or do you think that's actually something that happened in America?
Well, last time I checked, I'm a dude. I'm a guy. I'm a man. I've never felt attacked in any way.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you listen to anything from the conservative side of the aisle, it's all fear-based. You know, they're going to do this. They're coming for this. We can't do this. This is in my face. So on and so forth. So, I mean, to me, it just plays more into that. Personally, no. I think what's happening is it's becoming accepted as a man to be like, I have a problem. I have issues. I have anxiety, depression, so on and so forth. And those things are becoming socially acceptable to come out, to talk about, and to, you know, show a little compassion for.
Yeah.
In the 1950s, where most conservatives still live, that shit didn't happen. You know, it's a weakness. It's not a real thing. It's all in your mind and fake and so on and so forth. Now, our conservative friends, I'm not lumping you all in there, but you're getting the idea. It's just because a lot of those ideals are outdated. But to me, there's no attack on anything. It's just, hey, it's okay if you have depression, or if you're not the brawny man carrying an axe and cutting down trees and shit. I think that the norm is been stretched.
Yeah.
So there's well, Stanley, he's not a man's man. Okay, Stanley doesn't drink Kool-Aid and like to go shit in the woods every weekend. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So I don't really think there's attack. Period. I mean, not for me anyway.
I think what it is for me, it seems like there's two different topics when you talk about like manhood in today's culture, and one is the people that think that like manliness is under attack and stuff like that, and then there's the toxic masculinity topic. And as far as like the attack on manliness, I don't think that there's necessarily an attack. I think you're partially right. There's a shifting definition of what it is to be a man, as far as like what's, like you said, you can be a little bit more open with behavioral health issues or concerns and stuff like that. I think a lot of it though comes to is I know a lot of guys that like a loss of purpose. Like, so up until really the 90s or something, like the man was the breadwinner, the wife, the mom stayed home. It was Susie Homemaker, watched the kids, and the guy was the breadwinner, and he was the, and now it's become, which I didn't grow up in that kind of family, so to me it was always weird, anyways. But it's become more acceptable for a woman to have the career and to make more money than the man and stuff like that. And so I think there's a lot of guys that have grown up in that culture or seeing it play out on TV and things like that growing up, that had an idea of what a man was supposed to be, and now that purpose or that reason isn't there, and they're having problems shifting to a new purpose or a new reason.
I get that.
It's more, so it's less an attack versus on manliness as it is like a loss of identity.
Well,
for individuals.
And also too, you have to carry that ego too, to where like I am the man of the house.
Yeah.
I grew up, it was a 50-50 partnership.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we run this shit together. Like, there's no head of household. That doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And that's the way I live it now. There's no head of household. We do things together.
Mm-hmm.
We make decisions together. We don't any of that shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, to me, that just feels like somebody's ego's getting trampled on. I'm not.
It's kind of what I'm like. So
is that where you're going?
Kind of like. Well, it's not necessarily like. Like, I don't think it's so much as an ego thing is like a just. So when you're growing up and you see your dad or your grandpa or your uncles and stuff, and they're the men of the household, and they make the money, and the women wear the aprons and take care of the kids and stuff, and so you grow up thinking that's what being a man is.
That's your traditional.
And then you get up nowadays, and that's not how society sees a man, and so it's almost like victimhood. You know what I mean? Like, you can't admit, hey, my preconceived notions of being a man need to be adjusted to fit today's times. And I'm not talking about like the notions of like honor and trustworthiness and stuff like that. I'm talking about like roles and responsibilities. You can either look in yourself and adjust your, belief in what your role and responsibilities are in the family, or you can blame somebody for why it ain't that way anymore, and you're the victim.
And I think that's where it's headed.
Yes, I think, and that's something I see throughout American culture today. Is it's a lot easier to be the victim of something than it is to just look at yourself and say.
That's with a lot of things.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like across culture, and so I don't think there's necessarily an attack on manhood. I think it's just a lot of guys that grew up believing that it meant that it wasn't an individual. Like, to me, manhood's individual. Like,
yeah, for sure.
It's character. It's who you are. It's not what you do. And so a lot of guys grew up believing it was what you do, and now those things aren't out there. Those roles aren't like that anymore. And so instead of redefining it themselves or realizing that it was never really the definition anyways, they've got to have somebody to blame
for sure.
why they feel that way.
But my old adage comes back, my saying, my 3 words: evolve or die.
Yes.
That's basically what it comes down to, because those norms, and we have to go back and think. I mentioned the 1950s. The 1950s weren't that long ago. There are still people managing households that were around in the 1950s.
Yeah.
And in the 1950s, that's how shit was. They'll leave it to beaver type shit.
Yep.
It was unthought of. Single motherhood was unthought of.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Things to that nature that we see all the time today that are were taboo then. You didn't see a single mother or a gay couple or any of that shit. Or if you did, they were not out and about with it.
Yes. Yeah.
That shit was buried.
Yeah.
Today, it's commonplace.
Yeah.
You starting to notice? You see mixed race couples on commercials, gay couples on commercials and shit now. Think about that.
10 years ago.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
That would have been taboo as fuck.
I remember, and I don't remember the year, so if somebody remembers the year, comment it. There was a Cheerios commercial of a mixed-raced family. Where it was it was a black dad and a white mom, and then a mixed child or something like that. And this was probably 8-9 years ago, and there was this giant public outcry about it.
Well, we're talking about toxic masculinity. It wasn't that. What was it? Last year they had that Gillette commercial. There was this huge fucking uproar over that shit.
Yep.
To me, commercials reflect a changing of the times, because you start to see that there's more and more of those people. So you go back to the mixed race couples and the gay couples and shit like that. They're everywhere. It's not taboo. It's not crazy. It's not. You don't think any. I don't even think anything of it. I never did anyway, but a lot of people, it sticks out, and it's becoming accepted. So therefore, you're advertising, because that's the point of a commercial, is to advertise a product. So you want groups like that to feel included.
Yes.
You can't be June and Ward Cleaver in these fucking commercials and appeal to, this gay couple in Santa Cruz, California.
Yeah.
It just won't work.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying that they won't buy the product, but I'm saying that commercial won't have an appeal. Because, the idea of a TV commercial is to stick in the consumer's mind.
Yeah.
But anyway, you're right. 10 years ago, that was insane.
Yeah.
So, it's an evolution, is what we're seeing, and it's what's happening. And it's just the fact of there are a certain group of folks that won't accept that. They don't want to see that change. They don't want to see that progression and things like that. So, the manhood thing, here it comes. Here comes Gillette. And you start seeing the photos of the guys out in the fields wearing their flannel shirts with fucking their kids holding ARs and shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck
but
you,
the term, I will say, the term toxic masculinity really pisses me off.
And it's a really new term, too. I can't
3 or 4 or 5 years.
I can't recall
most, maybe.
a time that it's new.
But the reason,
to me, it's being an asshole.
Yes.
So that's what it is.
So to me, the reason the term pisses me off is because there's nothing masculine about any of the actions that are being described.
No, it's chicken shit.
And so it's basically like saying, fried ice cream is a real thing. You're basically throwing a word in there that has nothing to fucking do what you're talking about. You're talking about people being an asshole. Their toxic masculinity is usually and it is usually applied to men, but we have other terms for when women act the same way, and it's not toxic.
Feminism,
feminality.
You might have just created a new topic.
But
textbook ready.
But a guy beating his wife, there's nothing manly about that.
No, not at all.
And so it's not toxic masculinity; it's an asshole.
Exactly.
And so
that's what I was thinking about that on the way home earlier. I was like, because the first thing that I did when I knew that we were going to talk this subject, I'm like, this is new to me. So I went and I broke Webster out. I'm like, give me the definition. I read definition. The only word that comes to my mind is asshole.
Yeah.
This dude is an asshole.
Yeah.
And he's doing it in public, so we have recoined the word asshole to toxic masculinity.
Yeah. Or he's He's acting like a child, or
basically, and
like,
there's nothing manly about it.
Yeah, and so that's why it always irks me when people say it, because I'm like, it's not.
Well,
there's nothing toxic about masculinity. That dude's being an asshole.
Yeah, that's
being a jerk.
That's
like,
it.
He's
Totally.
being a tiny little child who never learned how to operate in today's society.
And I'm not getting my way. You know, you always hear the argument. Well, it would be fine if they just didn't blow it up in my face.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take a step back. They're not coming to your porch. You know, what I'm talking about is with gay couples and stuff.
Yeah.
It's in my face. No, it's not. You know, they're not over there.
Yeah.
Let's go to Steve's house and do it on his porch. You know, I've never.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen. You know, it's the fact of I can't stand the fact that these people are being accepted where not a decade ago they weren't.
Yeah.
You know, so they're not evolving with the times.
Yeah.
And it's just not an acceptance, and that's all there is to it.
Well, and even that way of saying it, they're evolving with the times. Like I'm glad that things like that are accepted today, and not fully accepted, but are getting there, and people are understanding that human beings are just human beings, and that's really all that should matter in the long run. But like we also have to look back, like America as a culture for hundreds of years have been assholes.
Sure.
To mixed race couples and to gay couples and things like that.
It wasn't that long ago that women couldn't vote.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long.
Yeah. And so, like, I feel like people tie manhood to what they are instead of who they are. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I get.
Like,
I get that.
Like you said, lumberjacks and doing manly outdoors.
You look
things.
at the brawny rapper. That's a man.
I never understood that. Like the dude in three-piece suit's also a man.
It's
it's
a projection.
Yeah.
It is. This is what you are supposed to be. He's the manly man. He's an outdoors man. He's this. He's that. You know, you can't be a writer. You can't be a poet, an artist.
Yeah.
You can't direct films and be this manly man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Steven Spielberg is the shit. You ever sit down with that guy? You know, yeah. I have such, I think, and I blame this on my hippie upbringing. I come at it through a way different looking glass than everyone else.
Yeah.
You know, you're pretty much the same. I mean, the view is different, from that way.
Mm-hmm.
So you're seeing things of, well, I mean, yeah, he does things differently, but he's still, pretty manly of a guy,
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, I keep going back to that. You say manly, and that's what you think of, Mr.
But I think that a good way to differentiate that too, though, is there's a difference between being a man and being manly.
Yeah.
Like manly is the John McClane, like from Die Hard. You're the badass.
Do you think that there's too much pop culture tied back with that?
Well, yeah. I mean, but it's been that way.
But I'm saying, do you think that this discussion was still being had, say, the 1930s, when there was not near a pop culture influence?
Imagine, imagine back to like the 40s and 50s when men went from wearing suits, as daily wear and stuff, to wearing blue jeans and t-shirts and and the guys.
People lost their shit.
And the guys in suits were like fucking. Manhood is going out the window. It's a constant societal issue. Because I've been reading a lot of stuff by and I always fuck his last name up. It's Sebastian Younger. He writes he was a war correspondent. He writes a lot of stuff about soldiers and a lot of it's about men and manhood and stuff like that. And the one I'm reading now is called Tribe, and basically it's talking about how men are tribal animals, just through evolution and stuff like that. We want to belong in a group, and there needs to be a hierarchy in that group for us to feel comfortable.
Look at gorillas.
And
the same
and so anytime
concept.
something changes that group or that hierarchy, then we start to feel
threatened.
Yes, a new tribe is moving in, and we're threatened by the new tribe. And so, so it's a constant. Every generation has its fight for what manliness and what manhood is, and I think that the main problem with that, a lot of it, like you said, is pop culture. I mean, look at it this way. Think of all of the TV shows that involve a family, and what is the dad in those TV shows?
Yeah, it's true. He's the breadwinner.
He's a fucking goofball. Like, look at the sitcoms and TV shows that we watch.
You talking about recent now?
Recent, old. Like, when we were growing up, what are some sitcoms we watched? What, like...
Home Improvement.
Home Improvement. He's a goofball. Constant fuck up. The moms always have to save the day.
Married with Children.
You know, constantly bitching and griping. You know, like...
Simpsons.
Yeah. Fathers in pop culture...
I never thought about that, but you're right.
Are always portrayed as fuck-ups and goofballs. And so, guys...
Not always, because the Brady Bunch's dad wasn't.
Well, but
Ward Cleaver wasn't.
That's further back. Like, I'm talking, like, say, mid '80s to now. Our generation.
Mid '80s, you go. It kind of started with Family Ties, Fresh Prince, and then
those were Fresh Prince is probably the last or one of the best examples.
The Cosbys.
Yeah, but that's kind of dated now.
Well, that's.
But he was a goofball in that show too.
Yeah,
because it was Cosby. But I mean, he was a goofball in that one too.
He wasn't Tim Allen.
No,
goofball.
And that's true. That's true.
He wasn't Homer Simpson goofball.
No, that's true. But like, as far as when I start looking at like dads and TV shows, Fresh Prince is probably the last great example of like what I think fathers should be or act like.
Yeah, because if you go to sitcoms, it's gone.
I mean, even the stuff out now, like Modern Family, the Dumfries, he's a big giant goofball.
I'm trying to get a comedy series in my head that
anything with Kevin James, giant goofball. And part of it is because they're comedians, and so they're supposed to be funny. And to be funny, you got to be kind of a goofball. But even the more serious ones, it's usually like look at Friends. The three guys in Friends are all fuck ups. The girls are the ones that have it together for the most part.
Yeah, that is true.
So, I just think society... I think guys that feel like they're attacked, they see these things on TV of the way men are being portrayed, and to them that's not
but
how they believe it. So
the way I see it, it's a license to just let go and be like, yeah, it's okay to do stupid shit every now and then.
And that's kind of where I think we'll end up in this, is like that...
because if they had just seen the 20 minutes before this, your kid would laugh his fucking ass off at you about that.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's so simple. He would probably be like, man, you would think that was I thought it was a fucking garage door clicker or some shit. I didn't know what the fuck that was. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's a way that we can laugh at ourselves.
Yes.
Back in the day, you didn't do that. You were always serious and things like that. And anything where you fucked up was an embarrassment.
Yeah.
Now it's just accepted.
Well, but that's how, like, to me, that's part of manliness and like being a man is like understanding who you are and being perfectly okay with that.
Yeah.
And still, going on with it. Like,
for sure.
Like I know just a tad bit more about this techno stuff than you do. And it's a very little bit of a tad bit more. And it's mostly because I just ask a lot of fucking questions on the internet.
Yeah.
Like I'm just not good with this kind of stuff. And so, like, I know that I'm not going to fuck this up. At some point, like, I may knock this fucking mic off the table. Like,
well, I mean, but that's the thing is, you have to be accepting of yourself in that way. And you'd be like, look, just because technologically I'm a fuck up doesn't make me any less of a man or human being.
Yes.
But those dudes see it as an attack. Tim Taylor is an attack on who I am.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's saying it's okay because 9 times out of 10 you've seen your dad do some shit where you're just like, that's hilarious.
Yes.
Like, I'm gonna tell a story about my dad doing some shit that I just and it's brutal. Like, we were putting a fan shroud on this car. I don't remember whose car it was. It wasn't ours or his. But we were using pop rivets to put it back together.
Yeah.
And my dad was drilling holes in it. And I said something to him and he turned, and about that time he just goes and he stops. I'm like, what just happened? And I look, and the hilt of the drill is at the end of his thumb. So the drill bit is all the way
Mm-hmm.
in. His eyes are about the size of grapefruits at this point. And then he just takes a deep breath, hits reverse on the drill, and drills it out. And I'm like, God damn it. You know, I laughed my ass off at that. But, you know, that goes back to, like, the Tim Taylor thing, you know. And my dad laughed with me about it afterward. You know, I'm sure it hurt like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
But then again, you know, you accept yourself as being a fuck-up every now and then.
Yeah.
You know, you don't go make a TV show of it, but
Yeah.
you're still a fuck-up, and it's okay to be that way.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying you're going to go out in public and be a complete buffoon. But
and I think it's important, too, that our kids see us fuck shit up.
Well,
and how we handle that, you know, because, like, I know...
It brings you closer,
well,
in my mind, because your kid can laugh at you, and you laugh at yourself, and then you laugh together, and then you got shit to talk about.
Not only that, like, you know, my kid, he takes himself very seriously.
Sure.
Like, he doesn't like to doesn't like to mess things up. He doesn't like to laugh and joke. So I try to let him see me fail at shit. So he'll know, hey, you're going to fail at stuff. It's okay. Well, it's how you handle that failure that really matters. It's not the failure itself. Yeah, and so, like, you know, I think your kids seeing you fuck stuff up and do goofy stuff, not intentionally. I mean, don't run around acting like Bozo the Clown. But, you know, them seeing those kind of things, I think, is important for their growth.
Well, it is, because, you know, your dad is your superhero. Always. And then, you know, you get to roll the curtain back a little bit and say, hey, you know, he's just a guy just like me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's okay. You know, because if we lived by that standard of that we're getting looked at, things that are being attacked, we would be the most boring motherfuckers in the world.
Oh yeah.
You know, we're perfect strict. We're in bed by 9:30. We watch golf.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
You know, we would wear a suit and tie, like, you know, we wear whatever we wear to work, but you know what? We go to Applebee's, I'm putting a goddamn tie on.
Yeah.
And a polo or whatever. I don't own it. I had to, you know, when we went to New Year's,
mm-hmm.
I had to buy a collared shirt because I didn't own one.
What?
I don't own a collared shirt.
How do you not own a collared shirt?
I don't wear them. How many collared shirts you ever see me wear?
None, but I mean, I figured at some point in time you'd worn a collared shirt.
Never. Not one. Like, if I have to go to a funeral or be a pallbearer
mm-hmm.
or some shit, I have to buy a new shirt because I don't have them. And usually I get too fat to wear the one I wore to the last one.
Yeah.
Or I just don't wear one.
Yeah.
That's no shit. That's a God honest truth. Go down there in my fucking closet, you will find one. It's the one I wore down there. True story.
That's funny.
There may be two. I think I got one that had long sleeves.
Oh yeah.
But I've had it for probably 10 years.
Yeah.
That's the real shit right there.
Yeah.
Cause see, I'm informal as fuck. I mean, if you ever see me dress, now my work uniforms, they have collars on them. That's
different.
Different.
Yeah.
But like as far as casual,
yeah.
I go anywhere. It's usually a heavy metal T-shirt, just like so.
Mm-hmm.
Not my dude pants that I'm wearing today. I just got out of the shower for this thing, but you know, blue jeans and a T-shirt or dirty ass khakis.
It's funny you call those the dude pants. As soon as when I walked in the door,
these
I was like, he's wearing his Lebowski pants.
That's exactly what these are, man. These are Lebowski pants. That's where these came from. This is the same pattern. Watch the movie again. These are the same pants.
Oh, there is.
For sure. That's why I have them. My buddy got them for me for my birthday one year.
That's awesome. But yeah, like I think what you're talking about with like kids seeing you mess up and like people taking it seriously, getting like I know guys that like if they mess up and you laugh at them, like they're fighting mad.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I'm like, wow, like it doesn't define. I think people
they're looking for perfection.
Well, the perceived perfection.
Yeah, perceived.
Like they're okay that they messed something up.
Yeah.
But don't you fucking tell them they did.
Yeah,
don't,
exactly.
Don't laugh at them. And it's that idea, it's that old school idea of male toughness.
Yeah, for sure.
That is coming through. But it's just.
And I guess there's an assault on the male toughness. I think that's what they're getting at. And this namby-pamby's talking about his feelings, fucking chicken shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right on. Okay.
To me, that's always been a weird thing too, because like if I break my arm, I'm going to the hospital.
Sure.
And so like if I'm having, behavioral health issues and stuff like that, I'm probably gonna go fucking get them fixed.
All right.
Because I like to work at a normal level.
That is difficult.
It is, but I get the luxury. I live with a counselor, so like.
Man.
I mean.
All right. So here we go. That's such a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
Now, probably not, but didn't talk about that shit because you think, well, you know, either he's gonna kill himself or he's gonna turn into Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, and he's gonna come in here and Columbine the shit out of the school.
Yeah, or the third option, quit being a bitch.
Yeah, quit being a bitch, man. Yeah. Suck it up, man it up.
Yeah.
You know, so that one, you know, breaking your arm is a manly thing. Dude, he broke his fucking arm.
Yeah.
Bones were sticking out. It's the coolest shit I ever saw. But then you're like, man, I've had fucking, I'm in the midst of the worst anxiety attack I've ever had. And
yeah.
People are like, just fucking stop. Just fuck it. You can't. There's no turning that off. There's no switch.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to open up a little bit on this thing. Fuck it, we're here. I struggle with that shit.
Yeah.
You know, and the hardest part about it was admitting that there was an issue.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't want to, you know, you grew up with it, but you don't admit it. It's a perceived weakness.
Mm-hmm.
So you're being someone you're just looking for sympathy. You're out trolling. You're still fishing. You're fishing.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, years go by and you're like, fuck, no, it's normal. I mean, it ain't no deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I deal with it all the time. But then you come to a breaking point and it's like, motherfucker, I have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I'm going to be the first to tell you, if you need help, go get help, because there's nothing to be ashamed about. Because I promise you, one of my biggest fears was that, like, the doctor's going to be like, you fucking pussy, stop.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, no, that was a legit fear.
No, I can see it. Like,
totally.
Coming from the world of the military and with PTSD and stuff like that. Like, I know guys that are like, you know, I don't really want to go talk to the therapist about this because I know, you know, the big one in the military a lot of times is I know Bob down the hall saw way worse than I did, and so I don't have any right to have these problems because you know he saw way worse than I did, involved way worse stuff.
When it comes to mental illness, there is no cookie cutter.
Yeah.
There's no typical thing. Now you can characterize it however you want to,
mm-hmm.
you know, but every case is unique.
Yeah.
Like, some people get triggered by money woes
mm-hmm.
or work things. Some people get triggered by, man, there's too many fucking green M&Ms in this bag.
Yeah.
And then it just consumes you.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, there's no typical thing. So there's no shame. Like, yeah, you know, Bob seen some fucking Hanoi shit go on, and
mm-hmm.
here I am. You know, what do I have? You know, and then you know you have that fear of, well, I'm gonna go talk to somebody, but they're gonna tell me, fucking slap me in the face and kick me in the ass on the way back out the door.
Yeah.
You know, you have to get past that first. And honestly, that is the most difficult thing to do, because if you suffer from shit like that, that's your reality.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a reality to you, because the unknown is the worst part, because I don't know what they're going to say, I don't know what they're going to do, I don't know what they're going to put me on, you know, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. Well, you know, you're not thinking rationally to start with, and so you're not going to have rational conclusions.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guess what I'm getting at is, you know, the first step is the hardest.
Yeah.
And then once you realize, hey, he's not going to tell me I'm stupid, and
yeah,
you know, that they'll listen and be like, okay, well, this is, you know, kind of what we need to do. This is talk about some other options, and
yeah,
so on and so forth. You know, you realize, holy shit, this has never been as bad. And that's one of the most freeing things, to be able to just unload, just turn on a switch and be like, fuck it, it's over.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that it's a cure. Fuck no, it's not.
Yeah.
But knowing that, okay, they're going to take me seriously is an enormous step. And I still struggle with that. Like, are they listening? Is this a real thing? Are they going to buy into what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, if those of you dealing with an anxiety issue, I know I'm there. I'm right behind you. And it's debilitating.
Yeah.
It really is. But, you know, back in the day, it wasn't acceptable.
Yeah.
You know, mental illness is a woman's problem.
Yeah.
You know, that's not how we roll. We don't have that issue.
Yeah.
that's another thing too. And I think there's a lot of undiagnosed mental health issues because of that stigma.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
You know.
So.
And that's another thing too. Where you go back to that toxic masculinity and all that other bullshit.
Yeah.
And that guy saying was an attack on my manhood. 9 times out of 10, that dude's probably got some issues too.
Yeah.
And he's scared to death to admit it because that's one of those guys. That's one of those pussies. I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
You know, so
that's one thing that the military's done really good about in the last 10 or so years is shifting. I mean, it's still, that perceived idea or stigma of mental health and stuff is still there, but they've done a lot of work and a lot of good work shifting that stigma away to where now almost like if you're that guy that's like, we're being a bitch, you don't need to see a therapist, where you're like the asshole, guy. Where they've done a really good job of shifting that, trying to help soldiers. One of the big things they did, and my wife's in LPC and she argues with me about it every time, is so they took PTSD, right? And so in the military they just call it PTS, post-traumatic stress.
Yeah.
Then they removed the disorder. Now, obviously the diagnosis is still PTSD because that's what the diagnosis is. But when you see it referred to in the military now, it's just post-traumatic stress. And by getting rid of that word disorder, that stigma's, for a group of guys that are the manly men,
Well, it makes it more fashionable.
Yes. Now it's just, hey, I got some stress that I'm dealing with.
See,
it's not a disorder. It's not something wrong with me.
It's sugarcoating it. Is exactly
a little bit. Yeah. But I mean, when you've got a group of guys like ours, of people like in the military, then you're talking about guys that consider themselves beer drinking, chest beating, manly men.
Sure.
You've got to kind of do those kind of things to almost subliminally trick them into it until at least you can get the culture going in the right way.
Well, that's the thing is you have to get everyone on board. You can't just break down and hope that everybody just jumps on. So, I mean, you have to sugarcoat it, and that kind of bothers me that they have to, doctor the terminology.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it works, it works.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the point we were at,
well,
it was,
that's where
whatever would work.
You don't ever want to associate yourself with the word disorder.
Mm-hmm.
Be it generalized anxiety disorder or an eating disorder or any of that. You don't that because that stigma is still there.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting less and less as time goes on. It's one of those things that I see going in that direction, but it's still there, especially in guys like, say, I'm gonna go like 29 to probably 40.
Yeah.
That bracket. It's probably really hard on those dudes.
Yeah.
Because that stigma is still real tough. Because the younger generation, they're it's more acceptable because they've been around it, seen it, and they understand that it's a health issue.
Yeah.
It's not just a, so, that as time goes on, it's going to be more acceptable, and I kind of where I see it going, or hope it's going.
Yeah.
But if you have to sugarcoat it a little to make people want to come out about it, because like I said, I'm sure just like with PTSD and all that other shit, that first step has to be the most incredibly difficult. And I think that's the first step is the same with any mental illness or anything. It's the first step because
getting somebody in the office.
Well, it's such a tough pill to swallow. Because you sit there, you spend days staring at yourself in a mirror. It's like there's something fucking wrong with me, and I don't want to admit it because there's that aura of perfection. And it's not only that; it is, well, what is Bob and Sarah down the street going to think? If they find out that I've went and talked to somebody, they're not going to let their kids play here anymore.
Yeah.
Or things like that. So I mean that and I'm telling you, that shit crosses the mind.
No, I'm sure.
They're going to think I'm fucking crazy. They're not going to let me back down at the tavern again.
Yeah.
They're going to kick me out of the fucking bowling league.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing.
No.
I am not in a bowling league. But we mentioned dudes, so we might as well. But you get the point. It's not only a self-acceptance thing, because I think it would be much easier if it was.
Yeah.
It's a societal cultural, tribe. How's the tribe going to accept me when they say, "Hey, our leader over there is,
Yeah.
went and talked to a guy today. We're probably going to set him up with some antidepressants. We know where that's going."
Yeah.
Because then you're going to think, well, these motherfuckers think I'm weak now.
Yeah.
So that has to go away.
And what's crazy about it though is like, so there's this great story, and I can't remember the fort this sergeant major's on, but there's a this was several years ago, and there was a sergeant major that had a standing appointment at 1300, 1 o'clock in the afternoon at the Beverly Health Clinic.
Yeah.
And he would go in and he would talk to the therapist about hunting and fishing and life and bullshit around and do his hour and get up and leave and come back the next Friday and have his appointment. And I guess it went on a few months before the therapist was finally like, "Hey, do you want to talk about your issues? We do a lot of talking about just stuff, but do you want to actually start getting into your issues and stuff, or are you still not comfortable?"
Uh-huh.
And Sergeant Major's like, "I don't have any problems, but the guys see me come in here every Friday for a 1 hour session, and so it makes it okay for them to come in."
That's
and so
one way of doing it.
Yeah. Well, and that's all he was doing was trying to get rid of that stigma of, of this fucking sergeant major, which in the Army is fucking God, like maybe even a little bit bigger than God, and if he can go in and get help, then fuck, I'm a specialist. I can go talk to somebody
For sure.
And so,
but that's a tribal thing. You go outside the military, you don't have that.
no, you don't.
You don't have that luxury. You
No.
have to figure it out on your own, and then hope like hell that the hardest thing in the world is not only people not accepting you, but you disappointing people.
Yeah.
They're highly disappointed that there's something, and they're not.
Yeah.
It's just
It's in your head.
that
Yeah.
I'm just going through the grocery list of things that I've considered, because I've lived it.
Yeah.
I'm there now, today. So, you think about those things, it's like, I don't want to talk about this.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this, talking about it is the most freeing thing you
Yeah.
can do. Some of the things that I do, if I get wound up really tight and there's no one to talk to, I'll meditate. It's the most freeing thing you can do. It's just turning everything off or trying.
Yeah.
Now, granted, you have those times where you can't.
Yeah.
But that's one hell of a start. And if there's no one to talk to, then that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
But even now, you don't want to feel so needy because you go telling people, "Well, I'm needy." You're not telling them that you're needy. You get that feeling. It's like, man, fuck, I'm irritating the shit out of them talking about this.
Yeah.
But, for me, it's
and that's why
therapy.
that's why I always try to post at least once a week, on Facebook or something that, hey, if you're a buddy of mine and you're going through some issues, fucking hit me up.
Well,
like, I'm always free. Like,
it's the thing is knowing that you've got that safety blanket there.
Yeah, and I very maybe just a few times somebody's reached out, but for the most part, that's what I like. I'm hoping maybe people just at least know, hey, if I need it.
Well, that's and you got to understand too. Just because that handful has reached out, don't mean that there's not a bucket that want to.
Yeah.
It's just they can't.
Yeah.
They cannot bring themselves. Either they hold you in high enough regard, or like, man, I can't, because he's going to be disappointed. Like I said, it's the same thing that I've went through.
Yeah.
And I can't believe I'm doing this now.
Yeah, one of the reasons I'm not saying much is because I'm kind of surprised I'm just letting you go.
Well, it's been a many year struggle.
Yeah.
So, and the reason I'm doing this is if somebody hears this and is like on the verge of hurting themselves or others, and go get help, know, and because it's acceptable, and that's why I'm kind of I've got a tiny little platform, so I might as well use it.
Yeah. Well, and that's where I get real lucky having Heather. Is she knows me well enough. Like, I have social anxiety issues and stuff, especially like really large crowds where I'm in an unfamiliar place, stuff like that.
Sure.
And most of the time I'm okay. I may kind of retreat within myself a little bit and get a little bit more, observational and on guard, and stuff. But I mean, you've seen me before. One of the first times we hung out, we were all out at the bar, and I turned to Heather and I was like, "Hey, I gotta go."
Well, yeah,
like it just gets to the point where I'm just like, "Hey," and she can. And the great thing about her, she can have a great time. But if I tell her I gotta go, she's like, "All right, pack, let's go," and she'll pay out and we'll leave.
I'm gonna tell you a story about her. This was not that long ago. Matter of fact, it was probably 2 months ago, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
I had been wound up tight. Matter of fact, it was a podcast night.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I don't even remember. We've done enough now that they start to run together.
Yeah.
But anyway, she comes, of course, the families do their thing while we're up here doing ours. And she stops me. She goes, you're not yourself.
Mm.
She could smell it on me.
Yeah, well, she's really good at it.
Well, and I didn't even hardly speak.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm constantly, we are constantly at each other. That's one of the things, that's why I tell your wife that she's my kindred spirit, because we are constantly at each other. And it's in a fun way, we pick at each other constantly. If you've ever seen us together, we could have fun in a house fire.
Yeah.
This is what we do.
Yeah.
But she smelled it on me. I didn't admit. I was just a few weeks kind of getting straightened out again.
Yeah.
Getting back on meds.
Yeah.
I've been off and on meds for years, but I was readjusting, and she had picked it out real quick. And I thought, holy shit! I mean, she's good at her job.
Yeah.
So that's just
her like that ability to do stuff, that empathy level, like hers is through the roof.
Well,
like I can't hide shit from her.
You got to think I'd only seen her just a few minutes because we're always up here setting up. Behind the scenes at this thing, we set up, we discuss topics. So on and so forth. I'm not saying that there's a huge fucking production behind this thing, but you know what I'm saying. Me and you are busy.
Yeah. And
I'm up here back and forth getting waters, whatever we're doing. It was just that much of an interaction.
Yep.
Boom. Trained professional nails it. Sees it. Doesn't say anything. Doesn't say like, hey, what's up? Just you're not yourself. I mean, in that little tiny square. So, I mean, somebody like that can really, really help you. Because they don't have a vested interest in your life.
Yeah.
They don't have a stake in your life. They don't. So, they're not going to be disappointed in you. They're not going to go home to their family and be like, that Jeremy dude, fuck, he's so disappointing.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that. So, that's something that you have to learn. And that's something I had to learn. I hadn't done the whole counseling route, at least not yet. I haven't felt the urge, the need, because I've got guys like you. I've got my circle of my shell. And I've come out to you and I've told you this stuff, not on air.
Yeah.
But I've told you, and I told you that there was a time coming. Well, this is the time.
Yeah.
That I'm just going to lay it out there, and I think that that's fair. So, that's, you have to, like I've reset it and said it, that first step is always the most difficult. And once you get that ice broke, it's just like, it's just such a weight that comes off.
Yeah.
And be it only comforting for just a little while. If it turns it off for just a little while, it's worth it. So, and that's where I come from. And meds can and will help. I'm no zombie. You wouldn't even know it if I didn't tell you.
Yeah.
You find the right stuff, get a good doctor. That's how it goes. But like I said, you got to open the door first.
Yeah.
Because I could hide it, but I'm fun to be around. I think
Yeah.
But inside up top, it's a motherfucker. There's two sides to it. Just like the best example I can think of is Robin Williams. Has to be one of the funniest human beings that ever lived. and you would think that that dude would be just a joy to be around.
Yeah.
You know, he had to have been. But then Channel 2, the dude he killed himself.
Yeah.
You know, he destroyed himself.
Yeah.
Not only mental illness, but he was an addict. But I think mental illness fed into his addiction.
Yes.
You know, it's a way to put a Band-Aid on things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I've been there. You know, I'm not a drug addict, but I've drank stupidly.
Yeah.
And shit like that. And when you're down, there's nothing more euphoric than getting wasted.
Yeah.
And then that feeds the addiction. And the next thing you know,
Yeah.
it compiles, and you get Robin Williams, or you get Chris Cornell, or
Mm-hmm.
you know, Chester Bennington, guys like that, Kurt Cobain, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah.
So, anyway, if you're out there, that one person, just fucking go, man. Do it.
Yeah.
You know, your life is worth a hell of a lot more than...
It does not make you any less manly. That's
No.
At all. In fact, to me, it's
brave.
You're
fucking brave.
Yeah, if you're admitting things are wrong, you're being brave. You're being manly by saying, "Hey, I got an issue. I need to get it fixed.
It took me...
I need help." Asking for help is always...
It took me 30 years.
Yeah.
30 fucking years.
Yeah.
To finally be like, God, this isn't right. You know? So, you know, that's the thing. You know, once you learn to cope, you just swallow until the next go round.
Yeah.
And then you know, oh, it's going to get easier. Well, yeah, you have your ups and downs, your weeks, but it never gets easier. It's just, we're going to hunker down and wait for the next one.
Yeah.
You know, the next episode of what's, you know, be it whatever you're experiencing.
Yeah.
You know, the bout with depression, or, you know, personality disorders or whatever.
Mm.
It's never over. It's just, it's on pause.
Yeah.
And then you can learn to hide it and, you know, go on and function.
Yeah.
And then the pause button comes off. We're in our way for several days, and then pause button back on, and we're good.
When I came home from Afghanistan the first time in 06, 07, me and Heather started dating. My first day was like Halloween of 07.
Sure.
And you know, I came home.
How fucking suave are you? First date on Halloween.
So it wasn't really. So
did you wear costumes? Please tell me you wore costumes.
Okay, so I'll tell that story.
You dressed
first.
up as Bob Hope.
No. So it's even better. So our first date was supposed to be Halloween.
Okay.
And the babysitter bailed on her.
Okay.
And so I convinced my roommate at the time. Hey, she was like, hey, still come by. I want to see your costume, because we were going out to a costume party. She's like, hey, still come by. I want to see your costume, and we'll try to rearrange this and go out again another night. I was like, okay. So I came by. So me and my roommate had decided that we were going to go as the Highlanders, the WWE tag team.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the movie Highlander.
No. And so me and Alex had bought kilts in Ireland on our way to Afghanistan. And so he fit into Alex was in Iraq, and so, or getting mobed up, ready to go to Iraq. And so he wore Alex's kilt, and I wore mine. And we had like tank top, you know, sleeveless shirts on, and we went and bought like the WWE tag team belts and shit. And so that's...
Did you make Heather wear the fucking belt?
No.
Oh, that was so fucking good.
So I went by her house, you know, she saw me in the kilt, she laughed, and then we went out to a Halloween party, and she couldn't come. Our first real date, I took her, I wooed her over real well. I made her homemade spaghetti at the house, and then took her to play blacklight putt-putt over at the mall when they used to have it there.
You suave motherfucker.
I know. I reeled her in. Yeah, pulled the hell out of her. And so, but when I came home, I was a very different person after my first deployment than I was before I deployed.
Sure.
And like there was a drastic change in how I carried myself, my attitude, everything.
Yeah.
And so when we were starting dating, you know, she was just starting back to school for her master's degree to be an OPC, and so we would talk about things and stuff like that. And she was like, you know, you should really see somebody, you know, and talk about these issues. And I was still very much in the Like, I got big, broad shoulders.
You got the
I'm
shield
fine.
on.
And so finally one day I was just like, you know what? I'll tell you what. If you can find me a war vet who likes to drink and chase women and has that own...
You want the Goodwill Hunting guy.
Yeah, I was like, and his own behavioral health issues and stuff, that's a therapist, I'll go see him. And I'm thinking, like, I'm laying a bunch of shit out there. There's no fucking way she knows a dude in Bryan County.
TV
like
show.
that. And she's like, oh, I know that guy. He's basically her mentor at the place she was working. And I was like, son of a bitch. And so I talked to him a couple times, like, informally and stuff. But I just remember thinking, like, there's no way she knows this guy in Bryan County.
That sounds like, we were talking about sitcoms. That sounds like... You ever watch the show Shameless?
No.
All right. He's not a therapist, but he's Philip Gallagher. If you ever watched the show, you know who Phil is. Lip. And he's not a war veteran, but that paints the guy that's Lip's mentor, because Lip's a super genius guy. And that also paints the Goodwill Hunting Robin Williams.
Yes. No, like, if I
very much. Of course, he didn't drink as much, but he did.
He used to. Yeah.
And then his wife died. And so
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the Goodwill Hunting.
Yeah, I would definitely need the Goodwill Hunting guy if I was going to go.
Well, yeah, because you don't, everybody has that impression of if you go talk to somebody, there's the couch there, and they're going to sit there with their notepad, not fuck with their iPhone or whatever for the hour that you're going to pay them $75 or whatever, and it's not at all that way.
No.
But that's another problem because the pop culture is starting to seep in there.
Yeah. Well, and for me, it was much more about, for me, with the way I am, for me to take someone serious enough about helping me, they would have to know the issues.
Yeah.
Like, it couldn't be somebody that read them in a textbook. It was going to have to be somebody that had lived that kind of life.
Well, you're looking for that validation of somebody.
Yeah.
And I get that. And I totally applaud you for requesting that, because I wouldn't have. I've been like, fuck it, I ain't talking to nobody.
Well, and to be honest, when I requested it, I thought, like, that was just...
You were making too big of a request.
Yes, I was making a joke and being too
extremely
I was
specific.
like, if you can find, the needle in the haystack guy, I'll go see him.
Yeah, you go dig up the Wizard of Oz, and then we got.
And she's like, oh yeah, I know that guy. I use my mentor at work. And I was like, fuck.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty broad community.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You like I said, you understand what I'm talking about. You gotta turn the doorknob.
Yeah.
You have to turn that doorknob. And see and that's going back to our topic. That's considered a weakness in the masculine mind. That's a weakness. You're admitting defeat.
Well,
you're getting the best part of you taken away. You're going to go talk to this shrinker.
I'd almost say it's considered a weakness to those people that you would use the word toxic masculinity to describe.
Well, that's the thing,
you know what I mean?
Because they're looking at I'm the moneymaker strong man.
Yeah.
I swing an axe. I shit in the woods with Barry. During the first 2 weeks of gun season.
Yeah. The guy that, bitch, I told you to make me a sandwich.
Yeah, I live in a pop-up camper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that time. Yeah. They don't have time for that shit. That's a weakness. I have real problems, things like that. And in fact, they have those problems. They are those problems.
Yeah.
They live them daily. So it's just, in my mind, it's somebody that can't accept that shit.
Yeah.
Or they're just too unself-aware to accept it.
Yeah.
Or have had it so long they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
There's, like I said, there's no cookie-cutter recipe there. It's just not. Every situation is so unique and so broad. And it's so deep and things like that. But everything I've said ties right back into that. You don't want to be looked at as, he has a disorder. He's imperfect.
Yeah.
And that's the feeds into the whole masculinity.
Yeah.
Cuts it down.
Yeah,
you're not the brawny man never had to go talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Mr. Clean didn't either.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's the whole, like, I'm God's gift to women. And,
yeah.
And that's what's always bothered me about a lot of, it's real prevalent in the military, like I said, a lot of chest beaters. And hell,
well, that's a chest beater profession.
There's times I'm one of them. I'm a giant fucking knuckle dragger. But, my idea of manhood isn't, like, it's not what you do, it's who you are. And so, people get tied up with...
I'm going to tell you something, though. this is my impression of you.
Mm-hmm.
You are by far one of the most compassionate human beings I've ever met in my life. Like, you're not afraid to see somebody and accept, immediately what they are. I can tell that. I know. I've known you forever, and you've never, to me, in my mind, have rejected someone because they're just a quarter inch different. You know what I'm saying?
Well, thank you.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can tell that about you. I know. I've known that forever.
And it's like we've talked about before. That's my parents were very much like everyone's a human being.
Sure.
And
sure.
So I was fucking high school. Really, I mean, and I lived, I won't say sheltered, but because of my personality and where, living in Blue, Oklahoma, I wasn't around a lot of people. I played sports, and I came home and read a lot of books and swam and fished and hunted.
That's all we had.
Yeah, and so it was high school before I was really exposed to my first heavy racist, and so all those concepts of, you're a human being, why wouldn't I accept you for you? Like, they were already firmly implanted in me.
Yeah.
By the time I was around any of that kind of stuff.
So that's that's the way I was. With my I guess I go back to my hippie upbringing.
Yeah.
The world. I was taught the world is only this big.
Yeah.
And you have to share it. Tom is not like you,
mm-hmm.
but Tom is like you.
Yeah.
Saying personality differences maybe, but flesh and bone. You skinned me and Tom out. We're identical.
Yeah.
Maybe. I have more teeth, or he has less teeth, or whatever. But
yeah.
you get to the nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
So, like I said, man, that's, to me, my idea of a man is we've had this discussion on Facebook. I think that a couple of years ago. I think when you were deployed. You brought up that. He goes, well, what makes a man?
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of the responses. None of it was the knuckle dragger tough. No, the word compassion came up.
Yeah.
I forget the others. It's been a long time, but I'm paraphrasing it.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's what it is. You have to understand somebody. You have to take for granted what the world thinks.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck it. None of that shit matters. You know where I'm headed with this.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm struggling to put together the words I'm looking for, but
the guys that I surround myself with are, very different culturally, religiously, beliefs and stuff. But
sure.
one of the core things that is what kind of people or what kind of person a person should be.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like trustworthy, compassionate, honesty. Hardworking.
I don't see how you can be a father and not have compassion or not seek trust or any of that, because you have to do that with your child.
Yeah.
Like, your kid's going to come to you.
But that's what I mean by that.
Those struggles.
With the idea of the attack on manliness and stuff like that, is people get it in their head, or they get sold to them, through, and I'm big on that emotional manipulation.
Yeah.
That the victim shaming and stuff.
Yeah.
That they're being attacked for what they do. Hunting's under attack, so manhood's being under attack.
Yeah.
Manhood's not tied to hunting.
No, it's just
being a man is about being honest and hardworking and taking care of your family.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether you're the breadwinner or not the breadwinner, it's just doing the right thing, protecting your family.
It's just always associated with those things.
And historically it has been.
Yeah.
But it's not, they tie it to those activities.
Yeah.
And activities don't define me.
No.
What I do doesn't define me.
Exactly.
Who I am defines me, but what I do doesn't.
Yeah.
Yes, it plays a role into who I am, but, I'm a big reader. But, if I wasn't a reader and I was big into playing the guitar, I'd probably get the same thing out of both.
Sure.
Activities.
You find what you're passionate about,
and so, but yeah, that's we've talked before about my idea of leadership is servant leadership. I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah.
And that goes back to that's my idea of being a man that's tied into taking care of other people.
Yeah, for sure.
And so,
well, see, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I said you're one of the most compassionate people I've ever seen. And that's I've ever met, because I know these things. And to me, that's more manly than any of that shit.
Yeah.
You think about that, because you can you can offer help to someone, offer hope to someone, maybe just for a minute.
Yeah.
But that minute to someone else, to you it may just be a minute and it's gone. You forget about it. It's a blip on a clock.
Mm-hmm. But
to that other person,
yeah,
that can be completely and utterly life changing.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a huge turning point in my life. Is that 60-second interaction?
Yeah.
With I was able to come out and open up to this guy and say, do you know where I can get help, or do you, would you talk to me, or
yeah.
I'm just paraphrasing. I'm not saying this ever happened, but I'm just saying that that tiny blip in your life
mm-hmm.
is an enormous event somewhere else.
Yes.
Be it your child or some stranger on the street or a
mm-hmm.
friend or whatever. That's more manly to me than anything we've talked about as far as masculinity.
Yeah.
That the toxic masculinists are saying.
Yeah.
Because that's this huge thing, because you're helping fellow man. You're you're not only putting yourself out there, you're extending that hand.
Yeah.
That to me is huge.
Yeah.
And this whole well, traditional shit's gone. Yeah, fuck it. It's gone.
Well, but that's kind of my point. I'm a firm believer traditional shit's not gone. Like, being a good human is being a good man.
Well, that's
like,
that's always been at the core of it. But
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? You go back to traditional.
Yeah.
As traditional as people are seen.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking at those 50s families, the Mad Men family.
Yeah.
Dad drives a Buick, mom stays home and cooks.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that, and wears a suit and the stupid hat and all that shit. Now you've got households where mom is a very successful surgeon and
mm-hmm.
dad works at the pawn shop.
Yeah.
Or something. I'm totally
Yeah.
paraphrasing, but you get the idea, and everyone should. Back in those days, that was unacceptable.
Yeah.
I think a woman going to college is unacceptable.
Yeah.
For Christ's sake, women couldn't vote 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So, it's just an evolution
mm-hmm.
that's occurring right before our eyes, and some people are, pushing it down, and dirt's building up in front of them, and they're just getting drugged through it. And And like you said, it's a lot easier to play the victim than it is to say, hey, you know what, maybe I'm wrong here.
Yeah.
That's another thing, is being able to admit you're fucking wrong.
Yeah.
People don't like to do it. I don't like to do it.
Oh, I struggle with it. Oh, that's my why.
But, like we've said in previous podcasts, here's written evidence, buddy.
Yeah.
Peer-reviewed, 1,000% data.
Yeah. So
you got to eat it. People don't want to do that.
Well, and I'm good with the data and admitting, oh, fuck, you're right. Data says this. I'm wrong. My bad.
Yeah.
I am bad admitting I'm wrong with.
Well, there's a lot of people that
like opinion type stuff or emotional stuff.
Well, yeah. And there's a lot of them that are worse than you are.
Mm-hmm.
That refuse.
Yeah.
They're like, no, fuck that. That's not how it is.
Yeah.
It is though. It is.
Yeah.
I keep going back to the gay marriage thing because it's something that's happened recently.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are not accepting of it.
Yeah.
And here's and I've had conversations with some folks that are totally opposed to gay marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, they're going to live with each other anyway.
Yeah.
They're going to love each other anyway. They don't care. They just want insurance benefits.
Mm-hmm.
They want to claim each other. They want one to take care of the other in the event that the other dies.
Yeah.
That's all they're looking for.
Yeah.
They don't give a shit about sanctity and
one of the best bills when all that stuff was coming out, what, 16-ish? 15-ish?
It was during the Obama administration, so
probably 14.
And the Supreme Court decision was, I'm going to say 14, 15.
Okay.
That window.
When all that was coming out, everybody was throwing a big fit about, the government shouldn't be in marriage. Somebody...
You have to go to the motherfucking courthouse to get married.
And it probably was Rand Paul, but somebody introduced a bill that basically was going to get the government out of marriage. and they were just going to call what the government did as a civil union for everything.
Fair.
And then if you want to get married, you go to church and get married. And churches
Sure.
can decide, hey, we're not marrying gay couples because our
Sure.
God doesn't believe in it. But as far as the government was concerned, man, woman, lady, dude, whatever, it was just a civil union as far as the government was going. And people threw a fucking fit. And I was like, really, the government shouldn't be in marriage because it's a religious institution anyways. Like, it probably should just be a civil union
Well,
as far as the government's concerned.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be. But then they throw a shit fit about it.
Mm-hmm.
The people that scream, "We want small government." No, they don't. They want huge government. Now, let's talk about today. That same group of people are wearing a mask infringes my rights.
Yeah.
You were just fine with infringing on rights when these people refused to bake a cake for a gay couple. You were fine with that. That was their right to do that.
Okay, so on that,
That's the pot calling the kettle black.
I'm actually on that side. Like, a business owner should be able to, like, for whatever
Me
reason,
too.
they should be able to refuse service
Me
for
too.
anybody.
However,
don't fucking shop there, and when their business fails.
But that same
go
crowd
under.
applauded the fact that they couldn't. The Supreme Court decision came down and they couldn't bake. They didn't have to bake a cake for them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now that same group of motherfuckers.
No. The Supreme Court said they had to. Said they couldn't discriminate them based on.
What I'm saying though, is that same group of people are. Well, my rights are being infringed upon when I'm told to wear a mask at the Walmart.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
I mean,
I haven't got that. I haven't found yet in the Bill of Rights where it talks about.
It's 6
wearing.
of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's that business owner has to say, hey, you know what? There's a sign and you see it everywhere. It says, we reserve the right to refuse service to anyone.
Yeah, and then you can not make money and go under.
Exactly.
That's my opinion on it.
And
but the mask thing, like,
it's not a government institution.
You don't see where it says masks in the Bill of Rights anywhere.
Well, it doesn't say anything about baking cakes either.
No.
But what I'm saying is he refused service to them. They applaud it. They get refused service because of something they are doing.
Yes. Okay, so that's the route you're going.
That's what I'm saying.
No. That I agree with you. Business has the right to refuse service to anyone for any reason.
I'm not talking about the constitutionality of it and all that. I'm saying is that crowd applauded the cake bakers, but they're pissed off at Costco.
Yeah. No. That I get. I get what
That's
you're saying
where I'm headed.
I
That's
get
what I'm talking about. Is that group? Because it's the same group.
Same thing. Yeah.
So my rights are being infringed upon now, and it's like the Charles Bukowski quote. I've posted it several times. We've mentioned it. He goes, I'm gonna paraphrase because I want to butcher it. But anyway, it goes, I guess the only time people think about injustice is when it happens to them.
Yes.
So, and that goes with what's going on today with lots of other topics that we've covered. So, you feel that your rights are being trampled on because we want you to cover your face for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But it's okay to deny these people rights because, you know what, they're a little different.
Yeah.
The cake topper just doesn't work for me. So, fuck them.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going.
Yeah.
It's me. I'm more worried about me, how I feel about this. I got into a pissing contest with Josh Burkeen. I don't know if I ever told you about this.
I don't think so.
When the gay marriage thing came about and got passed nationwide, where I say passed, accepted by the Supreme Court as legal, he wrote this big hoo-ha in the paper about being able to circumvent it constitutionally in Oklahoma and all this shit. And so I'm like, you know what? Fuck you, man. I wrote this, I'm not expecting a response. I wrote this enormous pissed off email, and I'm talking, I didn't cuss or, I didn't, it was very well thought through and put together, and of course, I was like, you can't bring your religion into this bullshit. I said, and I used the example of they're not fucking on your porch.
Yeah.
Because they're not.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even know that they existed except for this whole fucking thing happened. Especially Mr. Clean Cut, Big Toothy Smile Josh Burkeen. If he hears this, he can kiss my ass. I still don't like him. Anyway, so I sent this fucking email about 18 and a half miles long. I'll be damned if he didn't respond. I was fucking floored. I was like, holy shit. And one thing that I brought up to him, I said, you do know that there are gay people in your community. And you do know that they vote, right? So if you want to keep your little job, you better shut the fuck up, because these people have friends. You know, they don't understand that. They don't say, hey, you know, Terry down the road there, you know, got pissed off because the shit you wrote in the paper, so we're not going to vote for you.
Yeah.
That gets contagious. He wrote back. I was like, what? And he read it, and he, you know, he gave me this whole thing about being a liberal and shit. I'm like, oh, you don't even know me, man.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know him either, but I know enough.
Yeah.
And this was when he was, I guess, he ran, who did he run against the last time? Was it Joe Hill?
Yes.
And then he retired. Then he didn't.
I don't think he ran this last time.
He didn't run the last time. So, this was before that election.
Okay.
And Joe Hill came to my house, actually, and I was like, dude, I got a story for you. So, anyway, yeah. And if anybody doesn't know who Josh Burkeen is, he was our state senator for this region.
Yeah.
Not on the federal level, on the state level. Very highfalutin, very outspoken Christian, very much the traditional man.
Yeah.
Mr. Josh Burkeen, he had cows. He had the balls to write this thing. He did that column in the paper. I forget what he called it. It was stupidly titled as well. And I don't know why I would read it and get so angry, but I mean, everything about this guy just pissed me off. And he's like, I'm writing this from the tree stand. I'm like, well, you're not a very good fucking hunter, are you, stud? You know? But he wasn't writing shit from no tree stand. He was appealing to that crowd.
Yes.
You know, the pro gun, pro outdoor, you know, this dude wears his fucking orange, man. He's got his orange vest and hat on, you know. He was pandering. And at the time, I didn't think about that. I was just reading it with fucking white knuckles on the keyboard, just incredibly pissed off.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I could see through his shit, you know?
Yeah.
And, like I said, the whole gay marriage one, man, it just set me off. Like, I don't know why. I'm like, dude, all they want is equal rights.
Yeah.
They don't. It's not about your religion. They're not asking you to officiate the wedding. They're not going to have their honeymoon in your bedroom. None of that's going to happen.
Yeah.
They just want access to health care. They want access to life insurance. They want dental.
Yeah.
You know, they just want these things because, hey, we're a couple. We live together. This one, we depend on each other equally, or, you know, he may be head of household. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know who does what, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, no one does, but let's just go out there like I put it as any married couple.
Yeah.
You take care of each other. That's all they were wanting to do.
Yeah.
And this dude was shitting on it, and it just made me just angry, I think, as I've ever been.
Well, and that's the crazy thing to me. Like, you know, anybody's talked to me before knows I'm very centralist in politics.
Oh, that's me.
I'm super conservative on some things, like the Second Amendment and the Constitution. I'm super liberal on other things, like gay marriage and, you know, the legalization of weed.
Well, and see, I think that's being a decent human being.
Yes, and so, but that's my deal is to me, like, no one should have any more rights than I do, and no one should have any less rights than I do.
That is...
And I don't understand people who don't, on both sides of the aisle, who don't understand that.
That is...
And can't grasp that concept.
That is being a decent human being.
Yeah.
That's all that is, and it's such a simple concept.
Yes.
It's so minute. It's such a small thing.
Yeah.
You know, I look at, like, this house. I live in this home.
Mm-hmm.
This is my planet. This is my world. Mm-hmm. I can control what happens in here. You know, if, you know, someone rings on my doorbell that I don't want there, be like, hey, you can just fuck off.
Yep.
But can I go to the Easy Mart and go tell a guy, hey, you need to get the fuck out of here? No, it's not my world anymore.
Yeah.
I'm somewhere else. So, you know, what I'm saying is, people think that the entire state, county, country is their planet, their world.
Yeah.
You should do things the way I want them done. That's not how we live over here. You know, Sarah and Billy, they don't do that shit.
Yeah.
You know. So, well, basically, it's just being a decent human being. It's the old adage: my rights end at the end of my nose, basically.
Yeah.
You know, basically, you know, you live your life, I live mine.
Yeah.
And that set of principles. But you know, when the government starts to get involved, you're right. No one should be treated any differently or any less just because of their sexual orientation or the color of their skin or the length of their hair, for that matter.
Yeah, for any conceivable reason.
And that's how I am. It's not liberal, conservative, or any of that shit. It's human.
Yeah.
Because I've brought it up several hundred times. You know, the planet's only so small, and we have to share it. So we just as well get along and do things and not be fucking assholes to each other.
Yeah.
But that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But when you get governmental assholeship, you gotta stand up and fight. You gotta stand up and say, hey, this isn't right. Let's go to the ballot box. You're gone, buddy.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I don't think that where we live, any of that shit would have changed. You know, I think people would have read little Josh Burkeen's fucking article and been like, yeah, we're going to do this. Yeah.
And you see, you said about how they're going to circumvent the Supreme Court decision. So the first thing I thought was like, I'd kind of like to know what that checklist is. There's some shit the Supreme Court said in the past that maybe I'd like to circumvent. Like,
Totally.
Is it possible for everything to be circumvented? Well,
what's the fucking point of having a Supreme Court if you're just going to circumvent it?
Exactly.
I think they wanted to squeeze in the 10th Amendment on there on the state right issue and all that shit. That has been beaten to death, and there's been so much case.
Yeah.
You know, Roe versus Wade is one of those things that, states' rights. Yeah, it doesn't happen on a federal level, though.
Yeah.
You know, there are states' rights, absolutely. The marijuana issue is a state right issue, in my opinion, because it's different from state to state.
Yeah.
But then you start criminalizing things. When you start criminalizing things, that's when you have to back shit off.
Yeah.
But it's been so many years, and I can't remember the exact article or what it said. I'm sure you could go back, and of course the Grant Democrat would have it, of what exactly his plan was. But I want to say the 10th Amendment was mentioned, which has, like, the 9th Amendment basically voids the 10th Amendment if you read it, you know?
Yeah.
It's right to privacy. So, there you go. But anyway, I don't remember. Like I said, it's been a long time. I was just shocked that he hit me up. That he hit me back. He had balls. He didn't sign it with his name. He just initialed it. So I'm thinking maybe it might have been a paralegal. Or I say paralegal, a page.
Yeah.
But and yeah, I think so. But anyway, I just pictured him sitting in his tree stand, right, typing me back, this fucking liberal hippie motherfucker. He wasn't saying those things. He was this liberal hippie smeller, this gosh darn feller, or whatever it was, you know.
That's what always cracks me up is when I make a case for one side or the other, and you know the other side is like, you're just a liberal fucking hippie. And I'm like, really? Like, did you read the post below this where I was fucking ranting about the Second Amendment?
Yeah.
Like,
you know,
or the ones that hit me back about how I'm just a crazy right-winger, and I'm like, are you sure about this?
Well, the thing is you can be upset and be passionate about more than one thing.
Yes.
People think that you have to just choose a side, and it's like, well, you know, my team doesn't like this, so I don't have to like it. And a lot of people do live by that adage.
Yeah.
You and I are unicorns in this world.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Especially in today's political culture.
Complete unicorns.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that others like us don't exist, you know, we're the aliens in the universe, but
We're definitely an endangered species.
Oh, very high. And in my honest opinion, at least in this state.
Oh yeah, definitely in Oklahoma.
Probably, I would say Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas.
Yeah.
I'd throw Kansas in there.
No, everything is so much us versus them on both sides of the aisle around here that it's insane.
It's very much so.
And what's crazy is if you can have a conversation with somebody, and like a real conversation with somebody, and if you just start talking about concepts, and you don't start mentioning parties, you don't start mentioning candidate names or politician names, and you're just talking about ideas.
10 times out of 10 they'll agree.
Yeah, 99% of the time everybody agrees on the same shit.
One of my examples I like to use on this is the New Green Deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if people have only heard about it, only heard these things, what they heard Tucker Carlson say or Rachel Maddow say, and that's all they know. They've never sat down and actually read the program.
Yeah.
So, the conservative side is not going to read it because of AOC wrote it.
Mm.
And Bernie Sanders supports it, Elizabeth Warren, the usual whipping boys of the conservative side. And then the liberal side has actually probably read it, but, they're too busy defending and saying the dumb shit, you know what I'm saying? So the message gets lost. So basically what I would like to, I always tell people, I'm like, turn your shit off, sit down, and actually read it. Because if you read it, you'd be like, yep, that's probably a good thing we need to do there. Read that. Yep.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things they gets mentioned, the negative side is like, oh, we're going to build a train to Hawaii, I think is what was.
Yeah.
That's fucking not even there. That was a joke and a memo between her and a fucking page.
Yeah.
If you do a little research, you'll figure this out, But people, they use it to discredit and run away from things.
Yeah.
If you would just sit down and read the topic, be like, ooh, yeah, pretty good idea. Or,
or at least has some good ideas to it, like worth discussion.
Yeah, I'm not saying don't
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like,
but
I'm not even saying that the whole thing's perfect and needs to be instituted tomorrow, but like at least read it and say, hey, you know what?
Give it a shot.
These couple items here, like I can talk about.
And that's the same thing that you were talking about. You sit down and you explain issues with people, and they're like, yeah, you're right, yeah.
Well, and I'm sitting here listening to you talk about.
You can do a liberal issue or a conservative issue, and probably explain it to the opposite side, and they'd be like, yeah, fucking right, that's right.
Yeah. Well, like if I sit down and talk to somebody and said, hey, I'm going to introduce a bill that's going to basically say that in America, everyone has the same rights to do what everyone else has the same to do.
Yeah.
And a conservative's going to be like, fuck yeah. And a liberal's going to be like, yeah, that's the way it should be. That's equality. And then you're like, all right. And what that means is gays are going to get married. No, fuck, we're out.
Yeah.
Or that means, hey, everyone's got the right to own whatever fucking weapon they want.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm out.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah.
Yeah, you break down things to like just the base concept of an idea, and everyone pretty much agrees.
Well, see, in my mind, that's kind of where it started.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it all started. Now, granted, it wasn't perfect. It still isn't. Because the dudes that wrote it just happened to own people.
Yeah.
But, that's just how it was.
Yeah.
So, but that's the thing now is because it still applies. It still works because there's no mention. There's no like, well,
we're correcting the things that were done wrong as we go along.
It reapplies.
Yeah. And not even correcting's the right word, but the better word would probably be reaffirming.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a lot of things that need to go in there, like the 2/3 clause and all that shit. That's got to go.
2/3.
Like you're 2/3 of a person.
Oh, okay. I thought all that did get wiped out with some of the amendments.
It's still there. The 13th supposedly, but
but that's what I'm saying. Like I thought the amendments took care of that.
It's still in the meat of the
but
document.
I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I almost say like you need to leave it there so people understand where we came from and where we're going and why we're going in the direction we're going.
Well, just understand that it's not being implemented.
Yes, but my question to those people that are always like, we need to. We need to tear it all down and redo it. It's like, name me a country that's done it better for their entire history.
Well, you can't really. But
no, every country in the entire world at one point or another has owned other people as slaves, well, of other colors, of other tribes,
Sure.
of other.
But that goes back to the sheer age.
Yeah, they didn't allow women to vote or own things. Just every country in the world has had the same history America has. It's just they have it a lot further back, or they had it for a lot longer, even in some places.
No, it's because they're still a fledgling nation.
Yes, and so, name a place that does it better, or at least trying to do it better.
Well,
So,
yeah,
that's always.
You might have the Canadians in there. I like the Canadians.
They're too nice.
Still.
It freaks me out. The people that are too polite freak me out. I'm not going to say her name on the podcast because I don't know if she'd want me to, but I've told her this before in person. We had a girl that we went to high school with. She was a cheerleader. Constantly fucking happy. It always bothered me. She never had a bad day. All through high school, I never saw her have an off day, a bad day where she wasn't just giddy and happy and excited. I see her now on Facebook, giddy, happy, and excited. And, freaks me out. People never have a bad day, freak me out.
I mean, it's just a stigma of Canadians. But
So.
I don't know. I mean, we have to be more progressive, though. You have to be, as a nation, we have to be more progressive because we can't stay in that mindset of, well, I can do this, but you can't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but to me, that's not progressivism. That's just the correct way to do things.
But you are progressing, though.
Well,
you're progressing from this old idealism to a new idealism.
Yeah.
It's a progressive movement. It's a. I'm not saying progressive. A lot of people say, well, they're progressives. I'm not saying it like that. I'm saying it's progress.
Yeah.
It's okay. We look at it now. Let me simplify it. Wasn't that long ago that people thought that there was a God that moved the sun. That every day, but the sun would bring it up, and then at night he would fly her back down.
Yeah.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
People didn't know where the sun went at night. They did not know. They've got a pretty fucking good idea now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's a progressive movement. You're progressing away from that old accepting new ideas, accepting new realities.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about as far as progressive goes. We have to accept new realities, or new to us realities.
Yeah.
Like I said, we'll go back to the commercials and the mixed race couples. 10 years ago, that shit would have been front page news.
Yeah.
Now you wouldn't even notice it. I don't notice it.
Yeah.
I have. It was like, hey.
Yeah.
You see, you start seeing things, but that's being progressive. That's progressing because these things exist today. These people do these things. It's accepted, widely accepted. Let's appeal to them.
Yeah.
They're a part of society. The same thing with the gay culture. They are a part of society. They are very active. They vote. They pay taxes. They do their thing.
Yeah.
We need to accept that. We need to accept them. Let them have the afforded same rights that you and I have. That's what I'm talking about being progressive. That's the progression that I want to see. I'm looking for. I'm not saying go with this crazy hippie shit or whatever, but you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm going with it.
Yeah. No.
The mustache is still driving me crazy. I still haven't trimmed.
Oh, have you not?
Oh no. I'm going too caveman.
No, you can't even talk to me about your beard. It just pisses me off. 6 more years. 6 more years.
I feel.
Then I'm gonna have one down here, and I'm gonna.
It's not as glorious as you think.
Oh, it will
It's
be.
a lot to maintain.
I'm gonna put it way down here.
Actually,
and I'm gonna braid it, put beads and shit in it.
Trimmed
It's
it
gonna
in
be
the
awesome.
David Allen Coe
Yeah.
beard, the dreadlocks. Speaking of music, let's get in. I got to go down a rabbit hole here. I been spending a lot of time reflecting.
Okay.
And Amazon Prime has a bunch of fucking off-the-wall band documentaries.
Okay.
Certain
Like
bands.
or bands. Okay.
So naturally, my ass is a documentary nerd, and I hit the documentary section, and as the Darkness Takes Us is one of them. And that's a big one if you're a metal guy. That's the birth of the Norwegian death metal is in there and things like that. But anyway, I went down and I watched the documentary about the band Death.
Okay.
I had seen them, heard them, a few times. I knew the logo. I never really given it much credit. So, watch the documentary. I get thinking, I'm like, I haven't really heard much of this music. So, me, a big music guy, fired this shit up. About 7 hours later.
Not surprised by that.
Well, the thing is, it just kind of started growing.
Yeah.
I listened to these death records, and the next thing I know, and that one I sent you, it was called Population. What the fuck is that band's name? Population Reduction. I figured that's a 2-man band.
Oh, really?
2 dudes are making that noise. So anyway, I go down this rabbit hole of, awkward stuff, and I've discovered so much fucking music that I've got. I'm gonna be broke now because I'm like, I gotta get all this. I gotta get it. Gotta just round it all up.
Yeah.
This is nothing about masculinity. I don't know. I just had this thought, this moment. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, and actually, as you've been sitting here talking about the political landscape and even the music and your crazy reply-inducing letter to a former state senator and stuff, that like maybe there is an attack on manhood, masculinity, but not the way that that group of people. I was trying to think of a better word, but that group of people are trying to say and stuff. But like an attack on knowledge and about how being knowledgeable about something almost now is if you're a man and you say, hey, I don't know, let me go do some reading and get back to you, and then you're just people are like, oh, you don't have
the nerds.
Yeah,
you're a fucking nerd.
There's an attack on knowledge.
Well,
or being knowledgeable about something, and so people are almost afraid not to have their own opinion. Well, actually, yeah, to have their own opinion, and so they, better read than dead, or what's the Democrat one? It's something than blue.
I don't know. I've heard the better read than dead or whatever. But
well, and that was the communism one.
Yeah,
that was the Ruskies.
I don't,
or the people.
I don't know. I tune that shit out.
But that's where the attack is if you're your own independent, especially for men. I feel like women don't get it near as badly from other women if they question things or if they have multiple opinions on different areas and stuff. But if you're a guy, like especially in our area, a lot of manly identity is tied to how conservative are you, or how staunchly do you believe in your red or blue
ideas?
Well,
see, that goes back to the competition. It's like, you see, I'm going to throw it out there, like, I'm more metal than you.
Yeah.
So.
You are.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm not saying
no,
that.
I know.
I'm just saying, Brian Posehn is a comic, and he does a thing about this. And if you've been around the metal concerts and stuff like that, there's a community of people out there that are like, well, that's not metal. That's not how that. It's a very staunch group, very hardcore. I look at the political landscape as the same thing.
Yeah.
They're very tribal. And you're talking about an attack on knowledge. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Because just like the conspiracy theory thing, we went down that QAnon thing. A lot of that shit is incredibly stupid.
Yes.
And if you just took a second and like step back from it and like just thought, like I dug a little deeper into that. They're Satan worshipping cannibals.
Yes.
That eat children to stay young.
Yes.
Their words, not mine.
Yeah. It's not working because most of them look old as fuck.
Okay, so and another thing. Did you just hear what I just said? I mean, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
That's insanely stupid. But, there's a lot of things you see that there's evidence and it's clearly right in someone's face. Like, and you see it now with the whole fake news crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's fake news. No, it's really no. It's been confirmed and photographed and videoed by 50 other people, it tends to not be. Or,
Yeah.
you know, he didn't say that. Yeah, he fucking did. It's on video. You know,
Yeah.
there's receipts. It's not posh to be smart. You know, you look at that and you're like, man. You know, and I felt that way for even in high school. You know, you're a fucking nerd.
Yeah.
You know, you're not out here swinging a bat like me, and you know, you're reading your books and listening to your fucking weird music and
That's what I like to.
Shit like that.
I like to tease my wife that I tricked her, and that she thought she was marrying an intelligent jock, and instead got a semi-athletic nerd.
Yeah. Well, see, you know, there you go. Mine has got the full-on nerd. I mean, that's all there is to it. But, you know, that's not a bad thing. At least I don't think. I mean, being knowledge and worldly is...
Yeah.
Because it greatly alters your views.
Yeah.
You know, you're not afraid to do the research.
Mm. But, like, there's almost a stigma out there where...
no, it's not almost.
No, well,
it is.
Like, an idea out there that, like, if you're the... and we live in Oklahoma, so I'm using the Oklahoma example. I'm sure there's different ones across the nation. But, like, if you're the 12-inch lift, Coors Light, drinking, flannel shirt, sleeveless, pearl snap, backwards trucker hat, you know, covered in mud, and have never read Aristotle, that you're a man.
Yeah.
You know, and that if you're anything else other than that, you're not.
Yeah.
And that's what's always, like, I think that's where the actual attack on manhood is the concept that, like, unless you're just the stereotype uber manly, you know, you don't qualify.
Yeah.
And so and then that
being
group,
a part of the club.
and then that group is the ones that have decided that because they're, you know, being stereotyped, that they're being attacked for being manly.
Yeah.
You know, and so
That's the first time they've been called out for it.
Yeah.
You know, they're just playing the role.
Yeah.
It's not doing it. It's just playing the part.
Yeah.
They're just the puppet on the stage.
Yeah.
Basically. And that's the thing. It's
Well, and that's what I go back to saying earlier when we were talking about, like, pop culture and stuff, is that's what they saw,
sure.
like, men doing in movies and shows, and they saw, you know, as kids, they saw their dads doing that stuff for fun.
Yeah.
And so they this is what Rambo does. This is what this guy over here does. That's what my dad did on the weekends with his buddy. That's what
Wayne.
That's what being a man is.
Yeah.
You know, and so they don't get the rest of the picture because they're not willing to expand out there to look. But on the same side, like, because of that stereotype of what they are, if you like to do those things, you're almost thrown in with them automatically, no matter what else you do. Like, and the example I'll use is me. I like fucking hunting and fishing. I like drinking whiskey. I got on a few pearl snap shirts. You know, I like fisticuffs and stuff like that. But if you only saw that part of me, you'd immediately be like, "Dude's a douchebag."
Yeah,
like,
sure.
He's that, you know, the toxic masculinity, redneck douchebags and stuff. And they don't. So everything else I do in life is discarded. You know, it's just this is who he is, because this is the stuff we're going to pick out about his life.
Yeah.
And so I think that's where everything's going off the rails as far as, like, American manhood right now, is we don't look at who a person is, we just look at what they do.
Yeah.
And if they do things that we decide as super conservative, you know, or super liberal, like, the same thing could be said on the flip side. Like, I know several gay guys that are fucking manly as hell, but there's a group of people out there, because they're gay, they can't be men.
No,
they can't be men.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and so we've stopped looking at character and just started looking at hobbies.
Well,
as a
hobbies
definition.
and the perceived persona.
Yeah.
You know, that quick snapshot in time.
Yeah.
You know, that he's out riding four wheelers and got a big dip of Copenhagen, and
Yeah.
so on and so forth. You know, so that's who he is.
Yeah. Well, and I'm by no means not saying that people in that group aren't manly.
No,
Because
not at all.
I know several that are in that group that are manly.
Not at all.
But the actions aren't what makes them. It's who they are.
So I was talking about, they're playing a role,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's where that role gets filled.
Yeah.
Can be one of the most articulate, well-spoken, great people you've ever met,
Mm-hmm.
but likes to go to rednecks with paychecks or whatever the fuck that shit is.
Yeah.
It's not my cup of tea, but if that's what you want to do, go knock yourself out.
I like to go to smaller. They have a lot of wrecks down there.
Well, yeah, but
I'm an idiot. I'd probably die in that place.
it's just just an example.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's very situational, I guess.
Yeah.
But the thing, and then again, it's not. Because it's the niches are already pre-cut. So it's just, we're going to pitch you over here. You're over here. You're over here.
Yeah.
You're over here. And that's just it. There's those preconceived notions, and then there's the actual person.
Yeah.
So you have to get past that. And that goes back to the research thing. You don't want to delve into somebody too much,
Mm-hmm.
unless you make new friends. I'm not saying don't make new friends and things like that, but you want to stay with that status quo.
Yeah.
Not any different. I'm not changing, and
Yeah.
arms crossed, and fuck this.
Yeah.
New things scare me. So you have to play both sides.
Yeah.
So that's I don't know. That's how I am.
So, before we start getting ready to wrap this up, what do you think, to you, what's the most important quality in like, if you're when you're teaching your kids about being a man, what's the most important thing you hope they come away with about what a man is?
Two things. It's compassion and understanding. You have to be compassionate, because no two people are exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Situation, be your background, where you came from, your upbringing, whether you're rich, poor, whatever. You have to be sympathetic to the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then the understanding issue, I would say, understand that these things are out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
So accept it.
Yeah.
And be happy for them, or whatever. If you don't like it, keep your mouth shut.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be that outspoken asshole. Well, Billy's got blue hair, so fuck him.
Yeah.
Example. But
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Those two things: understanding and compassion.
Yeah.
And I think that's the foundation for any good man.
Mm-hmm.
Are those two things. You have to start with those simple building blocks, and for me, that's the two big ones. I'm sure you can go in any hundreds of directions.
Yeah.
For me, that's the two.
Yeah.
Passion and understanding. How about you?
For me, it's the first one is honesty.
That's huge.
For honest with yourself, honest with other people. Your word is your life.
Yeah, where's your
your reputation.
Yeah, sure.
And so that's the big one for me is honesty, and then the other one is the hard one for me, because my kid is so much like my wife, and so it's hard. It's the hard one for me to teach him. Is in a way he does it differently. He does it like my wife does. It's protect the weak, and so.
Does that fall into compassion though?
Well, and it does, but to me it's more of a like a willingness thing, because there are lots of compassionate people in the world that don't act on it.
Sure.
And so it's more like, I guess, like acting on that compassion.
Getting involved.
Yes. And so my kid does it much more like my wife does. He's empathetic. He's sympathetic towards people. He's the I'm going to go put an arm around them, whereas I was always much more the I'm going to stand in front of them.
Yeah.
Or in between them and whatever. And he's much more like I'm going to comfort them. And so it's just a different way of doing it. But that's probably my two, is honesty and protect the weak, those that can't protect themselves.
Sense of duty. Very cool.
And so
that works.
But what is your anti-man trait? If you see it in a guy, you're just immediately like, fuck you. You no longer count as in the man culture.
Dudes that treat women like shit.
Yep.
Openly.
Yep.
I just cannot. I don't know. It just makes me want to bite a hole in this table.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying like I want to just outwardly, just start finding people and stomping their asses. People that, especially men that treat women as second-class citizens. You're just here you're my cook and my entertainment, and that's it. And you make babies. That's all you do.
Mm.
That and to me makes me want to puke.
Mm.
People that are just outwardly that way.
Yeah.
Even inwardly, I may not know it.
Yeah.
Still, fuck you. That's for me. That's top of the list.
No, that's definitely mine too.
Tip top.
That's definitely mine too. If you're a wife beater, sexual assaulter, just verbal.
You don't even have to beat
just
anybody.
Like verbal abuse, like anything like that. I'm immediately like, nope, you don't count.
You look down on a woman just because of
Mm-hmm.
her existence.
Yeah.
You're beneath me.
Yeah.
Fuck you, man.
Yeah.
That's just it.
Yeah. Bigots in general.
Well, yeah.
With anything,
but
yeah.
especially
Yeah.
when we're talking manhood,